Hey guys, wanted to come on here real quick before the podcast episode started to say I'm so sorry for the references you're about to hear. Because when this was recorded, this was like new and unknown news. To now, it's old news and stuff we don't really care about because it's already happened. But considering when this was recorded, it was new. And the reason why it took so long is because between now and then, so much stuff was coming up on my end that I had to prioritize more than this. But I wanted to make sure this was out here because Michael, who you're about to see in the video and hear in the podcast, or you guys may know as Rexing Around, took the time to talk with me. He was such a nice guy, and I was so thankful for the opportunity, and I hope we get to do it again. But definitely wanted to put this out here as a thank you to him, and I hope you guys enjoy. But again, so sorry for the references. Hope you guys enjoy, though. Welcome to Tu-Vie, the TV Movie Need podcast. I am sitting with the great Michael Cannavo, with the host of the Rexing Around podcast, the CEO and co-founder of Super 73, one of the coolest electric motorbikes I've actually seen. It's super cool. I'm actually saving up to get one. They look really cool.
I'm honored. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, as you mentioned, I'm Michael. I have a Star Wars podcast and co-founder CMO of the bike company in question. It's crazy. It's wild how it all happened, but here we are and we're just running with it.
Oh, for sure. And if you guys don't know his story, you guys gotta look it up. It's incredible. It's super inspiring if you guys want to start your own business and have your own great idea. But seriously, it's a wickedly cool product. It blows Vespa out of the water.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And one thing about you, you're also a pretty big collectible. You're like a collectible king. You have those huge helmets that I've been also saving up to get. You have hundreds of those. And I've seen on your Instagram all your figures with the Ahsoka Tano clone trooper ones, and I'm in awe because it's like I wish I can have that money. I wish I had that much.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll kind of touch on that real fast because I think a lot of people people assume certain things when you have a large collection, and just to kind of like pull back the curtain a little bit. When I was starting Super 73, we were all, and as part of my story, I won't go too far into it, but I mean, as broke as you can possibly be, so broke that I actually sold off most of my collectibles during that time. Everything from the lightsabers I'd collected to the helmets, whatever could make money to pay rent or buy food, I was selling it to do that. So when the business hit, and none of us are rich by any means, but we started to kind of be able to pay ourselves, and I climbed out from my debt and paid everything off and got back to like a stable position. I was like, well, shoot. I was single at the time. I was like, I've got some expendable income. How can I kind of get some of my stuff back? So I started getting really deep into making helmets and like that process. And I started cranking them out like a little factory just because it was so much fun. It was such a fun extra thing to do. And the lightsabers came back and the action figures. And so it all kind of crept back in. But, definitely highs and lows. Having to part with all that stuff made the journey of getting it all back even more special.
Absolutely. And if you guys follow him on Instagram or Twitter, you can clearly see he's not building tech, but that tech suit looks fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to be the first one. I mean, there's really no bragging rights behind it because I don't join the clubs or anything, but I just wanted to be I wanted to be the first one just for myself, just to be like, hey, I did it first. So got with a 3D modeler here at Super 73. And I was like, hey, can we 3D model this armor and build it? And we ended up printing it right here in the R&D facility at Super 73 on the weekends, and busted that suit out. And it was a long running joke
fast.
that I would.
You like posted it and then it was just out. Yeah. It was so quick. I was like, whoa.
It was a couple weeks after the Bad Batch episodes from Clone Wars season 7 aired, so I was just full sprint. And so since then, there's a couple more techs, really awesome techs that have shown up, and they're obviously joining the clubs, and Tech is becoming a more popular character. So I think we'll see a lot more of him in the community in the future.
Yeah, and I mean the suit looks absolutely perfect, but you keep trying to get the fine details right. You go for the extreme, which is great. I mean, if you want to make something first, you got to make it great, and then keep building.
Right.
It was an absolute just awesome journey to see how it was just made that quick too. And so,
thanks, man.
Kind of transitioning to that, are you going to wear the suit on May 4th when you watch the 70-minute premiere of the Bad Batch show on Disney Plus? Because if you don't, that's kind of like a missed opportunity. I saw the shirt. I'm like, that's halfway there.
that armor, I did that one photo shoot in it, and dude, it cut me. It literally, because it's 3D printed, so
Yeah.
it's not flexible at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when I took it all off, I had a cut across my nose. I had cuts on both of my wrists. I had cuts on both of my ankles. So I don't know. I may wait for some more comfortable set kits to be made before I try to hop back in it. Also, quarantine, and 2020, I probably added a few extra pounds, so squeezing back into that thing might be a little tricky.
Who said tech had to be skinny though? It's your own version of tech. You can wear the helmet and call it a day.
Double XL tech.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really fun to have those. Just eventually I want to do the whole mannequins and up in the corner sort of thing where you put them all up together, and that would be really cool. But I want to wait till I have a larger space to be able to do that with.
That totally makes sense. But I mean, that is the coolest suit. I've been actually trying to find other places that like sell them in bulk, because I found one on Etsy of the like Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi clone armor they wore.
Yeah.
I wanted to buy it. I realized how much it was, and there's no way I could afford it.
It gets real pricey.
It looks so cool though. So and you have a lot of collectibles, like we said. So out of all the suits you've made, out of all the helmets you have, out of all the characters you own, if you got to narrow it down to one helmet, one suit, and one character, you have those the rest of your life. Everything else is just snapped away.
That's a really hard question. I mean, I'm Rexing around. Rex was kind of the pinnacle. It's the reason I started all of this. It's the reason I got into the clubs. It's the reason I met, my best friends. So I just, for the sake of saying Rex and the icon of Captain Rex, it would be that. But man, I mean, I've got a Captain Vaughn helmet that I look at so often. And the thing is, I'm a very physical, my love language is physical touch and closeness. And so, I love Star Wars visually, but when I really experience Star Wars, and I mentioned this the other day on Twitter, it's when I can like hold it and touch it. And I think that's why I like making armor so much, is because when you see something on the screen and it makes you feel a certain way, you can like recreate that feeling by holding it in your hands and like getting to experience it in a 3D space. And so I think that's why I like doing this so much, is because it helps me relate my love of Star Wars into something that's like physical,
Yeah. And that's a great excuse to get into collecting. It's an amazing, it's like, I got to have it because it's the, I got to feel it.
It's how I express what I love.
Exactly. But it's the best way to do it. So kind of like we also mentioned with Rex and Bad Batch, how do you feel about this new show coming out with Rex being in the Bad Batch show included?
Yeah.
So that's got to be like best of both worlds. You have Tech, you got Rex, now they're in this one spot. How do you feel about the show?
Have you ever like said goodbye to somebody and then, you hug and you say goodbye and then you realize, oh, your plane doesn't leave until next week? Oh, okay. Well, welcome back. Let's hang out. That's
Absolutely.
how I feel about Bad Batch. I said my goodbyes to Clone Wars. I kind of made peace with it ending, and I felt good about kind of moving on to the next thing. I felt good about, all right, this is a big part of, my personality online, and it's finally closing down, and I can kind of take my energy and angle it somewhere else. And then, the Bad Batch was announced, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, so we're back in. All right. I'm a fan of that. I'm not mad. I'll take more Clone Wars content. Because it really is just Clone Wars 2.0. I mean, they're calling it the Bad Batch, but it is just Clone Wars 2.0. And I think, so to me, I'm like, I didn't ask for it. I didn't necessarily need it. I am excited for it. I love it. And I'm going to watch, I'll stay up every night to watch it. I'll be doing the podcasts in the morning after to, review it. But it is weird because I made peace with it being done. And I think that's the case for a lot of Star Wars fans. We were like, all right, moving on. What's next? Oh, okay, the same thing. Let's go back into it.
No,
so
I totally
that's
agree.
Where I'm at.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling because with the ending of Clone Wars, which actually almost a few weeks from now will be the beginning of season 7, the 1-year anniversary of it. It was so hard to watch because I grew up with that show when I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8. The movie came out and we watched it in the theaters and the show. So I grew up with it. So it was really hard for me to see that whole thing, like you said, say goodbye to then just say hello. right again, you know. And then I heard about the whole Rebels
Yeah.
sequel in the style of Clone Wars. So Clone Wars is never going away. That style is going just for
Yeah.
beyond. But it's kind of hard. Do you think it kind of then devalues the goodbye and the heartfelt moment in the last episode if you're just going to get it back?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think Star Wars says it best when they say no one's ever really gone. You know, and I think that says a lot about the Disney era of Star Wars. They're going to run with what's selling.
Mm-hmm.
They had some misses early on, and I think everybody knows that. And so they're diving into, they're listening to the fans, you know, and it's funny because people were outraged at the decisions they were making. And then they go, okay, well, we'll just do exactly what you want us to do. And people are outraged at those decisions too. So you're never going to make the fandom happy. I'm on record as saying I think it's the most toxic fandom in all of fandoms. But you know, I do like the approach of, hey, if the fans are enjoying it, we're gonna keep making it, and that's kind of what Star Wars is, and that's where the originals and the prequels came from. Is people were enjoying it, and George hadn't really necessarily planned on making it a trilogy, and then he was like, oh, I could write more, and then you know, people were talking about, well, what happened? How did Darth Vader become who he is? Well, I could write those stories, and so it kind of has always just been following the fan momentum. And I think now that Disney's getting back to that place, it's going to do a lot better for them to just follow that fan momentum.
Absolutely. And with the new shows like Kenobi and Ahsoka and even The Mandalorian was, I think, just a one hit that nobody saw coming, and how intense everybody was going to love it. Even people who aren't Star Wars fans love the show because it's so unique. It's this,
right.
like, it's this. You don't have to go watch. It's fun if you go watch the movies, you understand everything, but it's this. So you think they're going to incorporate that kind of feeling of creating that story into the next few movies, even with the solo movies like Rogue One or even Solo? Could they, you know, possibly make these kind of feelings more on a grand scale?
I think Disney is done with everything that isn't fan service, at least for the foreseeable future. You know, the idea, they really wanted to cement the Disney era as a different direction, and I think it, for whatever case, whether it's movie quality, writing, you know, whatever you want to chalk it up to, it just wasn't sticking with the mainstream fandom. I think it was great. It brought in so many new fans. It did what it should do in that it brought in new fans. And I do think those, you know, sequels will be very popular movies 15 years from now, in the same way the prequels are. I think people are gonna kind of be changing their narrative a little bit, and you know, you're gonna probably hear a lot of I was a fan when nobody else was sort of
I liked it before it was cool.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think Disney is for the foreseeable future gonna say, hey, we're gonna stick to the things you want. We gave them a very good feedback when Rogue One came out, so they're diving more into that era. The Kenobi series is gonna be during that era. Andor is gonna be during that era.
I forgot about Andor, I think, man. So many things coming out. That was just a crazy night when they just exposed everything out.
The Ahsoka series will also be during that era, you know?
Yeah.
So I think they're like, all right, hang on. Sorry, we're going to get back to what you guys want. We tried what we wanted to do, got new fans, created a new fandom, but we're going to start to give you the fan service that we've clearly been wanting since day one, for better or worse. And I say that, you know, knowing that there's good and bad that comes out of that.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a perfect movie or a perfect fandom, but Star Wars fans can get a little crazy. I love those memes with like Lord of the Rings fans or Fast and Furious fans, and then it's just Star Wars fans, and it's just like a colossal of
miserable.
Armies. Yeah, it's
miserable.
It's the same template. It's the Attack of the Clones and the Geonosian thing. It's just that chaos. So we've been name dropping the Magic Kingdom, the Magic Mouse, the Disney company. How do you feel with April 30th, the park reopening, DCA opening? How do you feel about that? Because I know most California residents are allowed to enter. You guys can.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the experience? How's that going to change everything, especially for content creators like you?
Right. What I say now and what happens on April 30th could be two very different things. But as of today, where I'm standing now, I'm not in a rush to go back. Disneyland, specifically Galaxy's Edge, was a large part of my personality in 2019. It was where I spent 3 to 4 nights a week there. We would get dinner there all the time, drinks there. We'd hang out with people. It was kind of like the Star Wars community meetup spot. I met some amazing content creators. Yeah. Met some of the coolest content creators there, some of the coolest, community members. And so there was a big part that I'm like, okay, well, that land made this community possible. But to go back and to be concerned about safety and health and social distancing and wearing masks, and it's getting hot here. Part of me is like, is it going to be too miserable to handle? Too miserable to handle, making sure that my mask is always on while I'm, on this ride or that ride. I don't even know what the new restrictions are going to be. To me, I'm almost like, I want to go back once everybody's vaccinated, once things are back to normal, and Disneyland is what it always was. Now, like I said, April 30th may roll around and I may be going stir crazy and then book a reservation because I just can't handle it. Yeah. But as of today, I think I'd rather wait. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I sadly, I used to live in California. I moved when I was 8. I'm in Texas. So whenever I go, it's like a treat to go to Disneyland. It is like something I yearn. I love that place. And I think it was the Friday before the Saturday it closed, almost a little over a year ago. I was there in California. My girlfriend and I were there for a spring break trip. We met with her family there, and it was so eerie because I was leaving the park knowing that like when we come back, it's going to be either 1 year or 20 years or something. We had no clue. But now with this whole April 30th, and I've been talking to a lot of people who live in California and here and everything, kind of getting your opinion. They've been saying the same thing. It's super hard to go back to the way it was, because you don't want to worry about if your mask is too low or if it's too high or it's this or that or how everybody else is feeling, knowing all these different things. And in the experience, it wouldn't be, in my opinion, as bad. It wouldn't be the same, because when you go, you want to smile, you want to enjoy, you don't want to stand not too close to someone, but to keep the distance and enjoy the sights, take the pictures. Now, of course, there was everybody walking in front of the picture, which I don't think anybody will miss when you're taking nice photos. But like you said, with rides, I heard that in some California parks, you're not allowed to even scream on the rides. You're not even allowed to do that kind of thing. So
and that's where it's like,
why go?
Listen, I have worn my mask without complaining and without getting frustrated. I'm here. I'm on board, and that's the thing is like, I am fully like, I consider myself a good citizen. I've listened and I've worn my mask and I stayed home. And, a while back, I had a misstep where, even I thought I was being safe, and I had some friends come out and do like a watch thing, and the group grew larger than I initially thought it was going to grow. And I actually ended up pulling those videos because I was like, I don't want this to give off the wrong energy, because I'm not anti lockdown. I'm not anti-quarantine. I'm not anti-mask. And I didn't want to come across that way. So I ended up deleting that content, even though it was, kind of poised to be some of the most successful stuff we've done, because I wanted to show like, look, I'm on board. Now, with that being said, I absolutely hate wearing my mask. I hate it. I hate the way it fogs up my glasses. I hate the way it's humid in it. And so to me, I'm like, I don't want to associate that feeling with the happiest place on earth.
Absolutely.
At a point when things were slowing down, I was even like, shoot, Disney World would be really fun to go to. And within 5 minutes, I'd already talked myself out of it for that same reason of like, look, it's still traveling across the country, like taking flights, booking hotels. It's a terrible time to go. Even though, I was watching.
It's going to be humid there.
It's Florida.
It's going to be humid there.
I was watching some of my friends go, and I was feeling kind of left out. But then I just quickly woke up and said like, dude, just be patient. Just be patient. Just wait it out. It's worth waiting it out. I don't mind wearing my mask to Target, but to wear my mask to Disneyland feels like it's defeating the purpose of wearing a mask at all, which is to just be out for the essential things and then to go back in and kill this thing off. So again, that's where I currently stand today. I don't know if that'll change or not, but I can't imagine going to Disneyland and wearing a mask and having to like make sure that we don't get too close to other people and having to be worried when people cough or sneeze around us. Like, not interested. I mean, and that's the thing too, is for me, I guess I already really can't stand crowds. You know, pre-pandemic, I couldn't stand crowds. I ended up getting unbelievably sick from the lightsaber meetup right before COVID even hit. It was
Wow.
back in January.
Yeah.
I hadn't even heard of COVID. I hadn't even heard of it. I hadn't heard of the coronavirus, and so I ended up getting really sick, and a lot of people who went to that meetup got sick as well with COVID symptoms, but it was before we were even testing here. I was in bed for about 2 weeks. I ended up losing like 17 pounds from just being sick and not being able to eat. And so that kind of plays into my not fear, but aversion to crowds. Yeah, I'm very aware of it. And so, you know, even downtown Disney, I went a few weeks back and I was like, whoa, this is stressful and terrible. And what am I doing here? Because unlike you, I live here. So it's, you know, it's close and it's easy to go to. So it almost felt like it was not worth it for me to go because I can just wait. People like you don't have that luxury, you know, and people all across the country don't have that luxury. So for me, I'm like, I'll wait so that those people can go to a less crowded downtown Disney. You know, because the more SoCal residents that are filling that place up, the fewer people who are there for one day get to experience it. So that's kind of my mentality is like, I'll just continue to wait. I'm just going to wait it out. I'll wait this whole thing out, and it's a bummer and I miss it, but I think it's worth it to not stress myself out and worry about Disneyland crowds and, you know, people from the Midwest who aren't necessarily going to follow the mask mandates as well at the parks, you know?
Yeah, but they're pretty strict. There was one guy in line who was like,
were they on it?
They were. The guy like took his mask off to take a sip in line, and she was not even facing him. It was like Spidey sense. She just turns around and says like, "Hey, you got to keep your mask." It was scary. I didn't want to mess with them. I just was dehydrated the whole day.
Geez, it's so good, but it's also like so frustrating that like it does, like, it takes away magic. You can't deny it, and I hope that, you know, nobody's getting the wrong impression from this of me saying like they shouldn't be mandating that, but it's more of like, yeah, it's kind of what has to happen, and so as a result, I don't want to put myself into that frustration.
I totally understand it, and one of my favorite videos of you, it's on the topic of this, is you when you're talking to the stormtroopers and then you run with the whole, they're going to interrogate you. That whole experience now of having that opportunity to run is going to be so limited. You have to like stop and go around. Like it's going to feel like Frogger just trying to escape two people.
It's weird to think that was reality, because I looked at those videos, and that's a lot of those videos went really viral. It's how I built my audience on TikTok. And it doesn't even feel like reality anymore, because we're not going to be able to do that again for a very long time. Like, and you know, once everybody's been vaccinated and the parks are at 100% capacity, there's going to be new rules that we have to follow, and things are going to permanently change, and it's going to be a new reality we're living in. And that's definitely sad to say the least, and frustrating. And, you know, and I hope we do get those moments back, because those moments are magical. You know, it's what Disneyland is made of. And so, yeah, I do hope that the lasting effects aren't so severe.
Yeah, no. And some of my friends and my girlfriend and I were talking about the new parks, like park was well before they were going to be released, is that they're going to add like maybe hand sanitizing stations or small sinks, or even interactions with certain Disney princesses, or even like Chewbacca, who rely on that magical like hugging feeling, are going to be pretty different with like a high five from Cinderella and stuff. So, you know, and in downtown Disney, they had sinks every like 100 feet or something. So, which is, you know, it's good if you ever feel a little dirty, you can just wash your hands right then and there. But I feel like the opportunities they had to decorate them were completely missed. Like it could have been the yellow guys from Monsters Inc. Kind of just chilling around. It would just something fun like that. Yeah. So yeah, the park experience is gonna be a little different for, especially, you know, content creators who can't go to the cantina and take a sip without being that worried in an enclosed space with that, and you don't know who. So, you know, Disney's definitely going to be on that. But to get on a lighter note of these things, which is a very nice thing I want to do for this podcast, is kind of talk about the shows and how they've been and where your expectation is for the Disney Plus shows. So we mentioned Obi-Wan, we mentioned Ahsoka and Mandalorian. If you could pick one of the shows that are coming up, Andor, Ahsoka, any live action or the animated ones, that you are the most excited for? You got it. What is it?
Man, what a hard question.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kenobi show is going to be iconic, timeless. The meme content we're going to get from that is amazing. I'm really excited for Kenobi, but I think the adventures of the Bad Batch are going to be a lot more thrilling.
Yes.
I think Kenobi is going to be a little bit of a drama. Like, I think that there's going to be a lot of emotions that feel again, that we felt while we were watching episode 3. I think there's going to be a lot of him coming to terms with his failures and his losses. And, on the flip side of that, Anakin, now Vader, there's going to be some kind of conflict there within him.
Absolutely.
Bad Batch is just going to be, I think it's just going to be like rip roaring fun. Yeah. And that's, so I'm very excited for them in very different ways, but I think those are the two I'm most excited for.
I mean, absolutely. Obi-Wan is going to be a meme machine coming out of nowhere and going to be an absolute heartbreaking show. But it was very fun to see Hayden Christensen coming back, and fingers crossed on a live action Clone Wars flashback, which I think everybody who's a fan of what these things are is going to anticipate that until you don't see it. But I got to either say, Obi-Wan, that's a for sure ski, or season 3 of Mandalorian, or Book of Boba Fett as my final 2. I mean,
I forget about Book of Boba Fett. I mean, that's going to be such a crazy show.
Yeah, and I have no clue where it's going to go. And ironically, Finnick, who was like a one-time thing in season 1 and now a bigger thing in season 2, is going to be even a bigger thing in Bad Batch, still played by the great Ming-Na Wen, which is an amazing just character as like an actress in general, but a great character to now finally explore the origins of, which I appreciate. And it's so close to coming out. It's coming out Christmas. I mean, we are not going to get anything Star Wars for the next foreseeable. It's just going to be Star Wars. It's going to be a continuous thing for so long. And then they're going to take a break for like 6 decades and they're going to come back with strong stuff. We're going to get an overload. We're going to take a solid fiber and get ready. So it's going to be a lot. And I don't even know how to take it. I got to watch it with certain people because they don't watch all the stuff. So I got to be like, okay, I got this group on Monday. I got that group on Wednesday. And so
I think, and I think what's important to remember is as Star Wars becomes more and more mainstream and as they create more and more content, what I think a lot of the fanboys on Reddit and Twitter can't really understand is that not everything that comes out is going to be made for us. And it's okay to let it go. And, I think that's a frustration I see a lot in the fandom is the complaining, the incessant and never ending complaining about the decisions creatively for content that's not even made for them, and that's the thing is they can't understand that not all Star Wars content is made for everyone. The reason why we've seen so much growth, over the last like seven years in the fandom when it comes to, women, is because of the effort that Disney and Lucasfilm have been putting in to draw in more of those fans who have felt so, locked out of the fandom for so long and so gate kept, and now they're finally being allowed in and allowed in, and the boys are losing their minds, and it's really disheartening to see that level of toxicity on a piece of Star Wars content that was clearly made for a different audience. Like, just let it go. And I think that's what I hope all of this new content does, is it gives people different things to cling on to. I'm a Mandalorian fan. I love Star Wars, but I'm a Mandalorian fan. Or, I love the movie series. I'm not so much a TV guy, but, I love what they're doing in the movies. Like, that's what I want to see more of.
Yeah. And I keep name dropping her. My girlfriend, she wasn't a big Star Wars fan, but she saw the last 2 that came out. She saw Last Jedi. That was the first Star Wars movie she ever saw. And then Rise of Skywalker. And so then she was kind of like interested about all these different things because she was asking me all these questions during the movie. I'm like, I can't answer them. I'm watching this.
Right.
So then we went to Galaxy's Edge during spring break. And the minute she stepped over that like canyon thing and just saw everything, it was like a kid in a candy shop. She looks at me and she goes, I get why you waste your money on this. Like, I was like, I get it. Right. So then now she's a big fan of the movies. She loves the show. And she's wanting to do a binge of season 7 for May the 4th, because we've had like a busy schedule. So she's like, we got to get it done. We got to watch it. We got to do this. So it's great to see the growth, like you just said, for someone who was in, like, had their toe in the water, now is like fully committed. So it's
and,
great to
and
see that.
my wife's a great example too. She does a whole Star Wars podcast now, and it's
I saw that. Congratulations on that. I did a little listen to it the other
Thank
day.
you.
It's
Yeah,
really good.
she's been killing it. But before we met, she had never even seen it, and so for her to have characters like Ahsoka or Rey, or Leia or Padme to cling to, it was really cool to see. Like that didn't exist when I was growing up. So they've really done a great job of diversifying.
Absolutely, and especially with like Ahsoka, she has just been the pinnacle of like a strong lead. I mean, she's been a fan favorite since the very beginning. They were like kind of iffy, but then huge growth in the last 2 seasons of the Clone Wars, just huge growth. So and then it was great to see Rosario Dawson as the live action, and can't wait to see her more. It was phenomenal to see. I mean, the expression on everybody's face who liked the character saw her come alive on the screen was just freaking out. So yeah, it's been a nice drive. It's been a nice drive. So going back on the topic of collectibles, if you had to pick one that you only had to do the rest of your life, you can only collect helmets, figures, saber. I've seen your saber collection. I love that photo of you holding all of them with all of them lit at once. It's just the most happiness enduring thing ever. It's wholesome. It's so great. But before we get to that question, how many do you have? How many lightsabers do you have total?
34.
That's amazing. That's the number I'm going for.
I think I don't know if you follow Luke's lightsabers on TikTok. Luke's lightsabers, he actually works at Super 73 also. He's probably right now about 50 yards away from me. That dude has like 40 or 50.
Yeah.
Like that guy's on another level. And he's doing this thing where like he'll sell off 3 of them or 4 of them to buy like a really expensive one, or he'll change the font settings. I know. And so he brings lightsabers into work all the time, which is so funny. But he's always like showing the newest technology. But yeah, he shows me up in that. So I do have a lot, but he considers his collection far more elite than mine. But helmets, as for helmets, I have 40. 40? I must have 40. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Between the set collection and my home collection.
I forgot. I was just 40. Picturing the set. And I was like, there's no way there's 40 on the set.
Well, that's the thing is people only see, what I've got here. I have 6 more right there that didn't make the cut for the set. And then my game room, I just have they're everywhere, literally everywhere. I have 2 3D printed casts that are in that room right now waiting to get made. I'm constantly making helmets. It's like my little weekend project.
That'd be great. I've been saving up to buy the Fives helmet on Sabercraft.
Samoy Levart. Cybercraft's a new one. Yeah. I've been learning. I actually reached out to him and I was like, I need to know about you guys because people are asking me about you and I don't know where they came from. They're from Siberia. This is a Samoy Levart. Samoy Levart's like my guy. I'll recommend him all the time. He's been doing it for a long time. Yeah. But and then Hot Toys. That's kind of a new obsession for me. And I'm currently between the ones I have in my house right now and the ones that are on order. Probably 40 to 50 of them.
Dude, that is the level of it. That is what I'm trying to go for on a college budget here, though. I have like 3 lightsabers.
I'll tell you, their monthly payments make it really easy.
I forgot about it's like with Klarna or something, right? Yeah.
That's the problem. Is like you're like, oh, dude, $7 a month, sure, and then you buy too many, and you're like, oh, well, this is starting to add up.
Yeah.
But to be totally honest, I mean, at this point, I have just endless amounts of love for my helmet collection. It is probably, I mean, it's that or it's a tough one, man. It's that or the Hot Toys. I think, between the 2 of those, and I say Hot Toys, but also Sideshow because Sideshow does some amazing.
They're pretty much
statues.
the same thing.
Right. We'll call them premium format. It's really tough for me to decide because I sit there and I stare at both. I'm moving and I've packed up my Star Wars room completely, except for in front of me when I'm sitting on the couch, because I'm not moving for another week. There's all the helmets here and all the Hot Toys here because I didn't want to pack those up yet because I still like looking at them every day.
Just put them in the car.
Something about those.
Just put them in the front seat.
I mean, I don't know how I'm going to move them, dude. Like those things are so fragile. So
Put them in the helmet.
You
Kind
know,
of let
I
them like
think
rest in the helmet. So if they tip over, they got something to
brilliant.
just kind of cradle in.
That's brilliant. They got a bunch of padding in there. Yeah, that's a good call. Those will be the last thing I move because I want to make sure there's attention to that. But it's between the two of those. I think those are the things I love the most. I've given up on Black Series across the board. I do have those, those 332nd figures. That's kind of become a little bit of a meme where my friends will buy them and give them to me.
Yeah, I saw that. That was like a repeating thing. I'm like, is it just the same post over and over, or is it just the same thing?
No, they were growing. They were growing, and people are sending me, people are sending them to me, and they're like, hey, I got some, I'll sell them to you. And so, I've been growing that. But as for most of the other Black Series, I've pretty much let it go just because Hot Toys and Sideshow are doing such a good job. It's like, it's just not worth it for me. I'll buy like 8 or 9 figures, on a Walmart pre-order. And then I'm like, what did I could have just bought a Hot Toys out of that. Like, what am I doing? So that's kind of where my collection priorities are right now.
Sure. And I didn't catch this, but I don't think you said Hasbro. I didn't hear you mention Hasbro once.
I said Black Series.
Oh, that was the Black
Hasbro.
Series. God, that is so okay.
Hasbro and I are beefing right now, and
I love watching your arguments on social media. Just posting
It's a one-sided argument.
Yeah.
They don't give a darn about me. They don't care one bit about what I do or don't do. And on the flip side of that, Hot Toys and Sideshow, they've been really great. Those are companies that are run by fans. And I say that in that they've reached out and we've had conversations and we chat and we talk about upcoming projects. And they're like, hey, when COVID's over, we want to give you a VIP tour of what we're doing. I've never heard any of that from Hasbro, and I had 300, 400 Hasbro figures caught over the last. Well, and that's the difference between a big corporation and a company that exists to take care of fans.
Sure.
Hasbro, unfortunately, is a big corporation, and Sideshow is a company that the founders of Sideshow are still working there. They're still the designers there too. So you have a company that's made by fans for fans, and then you have a company that's a corporation that's pretending like it's taking care of fans. And those are kind of the two sides of it. If Black Series is what you love, I love that. Keep collecting. I've just kind of taken my interest elsewhere.
I've only been gifted one Black Series. I like looking at them, but I feel like the price for the quality don't really match.
Right. Well, and in the past it did. It did meet. Like there were some amazing figures that like made me become an obsessive fan. But as of 2019, 2020, they've really phoned it in on a lot of what they're doing. And, I think a lot of collectors are in your same boat where they're like, I just don't see the value when, what's a deposit for Hot Toys? It's like $40 to make a deposit and to do monthly payments. So you're kind of like, well, for that same price, I could just start paying off a Hot Toys. And I understand it's not in everybody's, budget, but that figure is going to go a lot further with people who are making it, who, like that, those are small companies that they need your support. Hasbro doesn't. They're going to be fine either way. So yeah, I always try to push people towards Hot Toys and Sideshow, but I don't ever beef with people who like Black Series. It's what they love, and who am I to say that it's wrong?
Of course, no, and that's another peg into your nice guy pedestal. But I'd say the one thing I liked about the Black Series stuff are the things that Hasbro make are the Force FX lightsabers. Those are kind of cool. I think there's some missed opportunities with some other things, but the helmets as well, like the Boba Fett, the new painted one, or the one over your right shoulder, and then the Mandalorian one that came out. Those look very cool, and I'm thinking about buying one.
Yes.
But yeah.
Well, and let me clarify. The Hasbro, I think they call them role play, where like these are role play, phenomenal, unmatched. Like they are. Throw your money at that.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are great things. Those are great collectibles to buy.
They're not that expensive either for something that looks pretty durable. Yeah, it's like under $100, a little over maybe.
I mean, I make helmets, and it's as good as most helmets that are made. This is a $350 Clone Trooper helmet.
That looks like it.
Resin cast.
Yeah.
Right. It's a good helmet.
Yeah.
This was $100. So like,
is that the Hasbro one?
It looks just as good. Yeah, I did the Cobb Vanth treatment on it though.
I saw that. I was like, that looks really. Did you like drop that a couple times down a hill? Like, it looks
I was
pretty
gonna
hardcore.
Cobb Vanth it up. I ended up just ordering a couple more to mess with. But yeah, I mean that one is $100. That's like what an amazing deal.
It's a steal. Yeah.
Yeah, the entire company's not corrupt. It's just the Black Series line.
It's one small branch of the entire
Yeah.
thing, There's this kid that my dad's a friend, and his son makes these helmets. Let me see if I can pull it real quick. Yeah, he made this out of duct tape and package boxes. Look at this.
Those people blow my mind.
It doesn't fit
phenomenal.
me though. It's like that far down.
It's just a little too small.
It's extremely too small. I have a melon for a head. But this kid, it's
so cool.
It's durable too. I threw it against the ground. It didn't break.
People will always DM me and say, "Hey, please don't judge me. I make stuff out of foam or cardboard." And I'm like, where do you get off that I'm going to judge you? That is way more talented than anything I do.
Yeah.
I have to 3D print my stuff. Like there's no room for error in that because it's just made by a computer.
Mm-hmm.
The people who build stuff out of foam and cardboard blow my mind, and they have so much more talent than I have.
I buy them. So you guys have a pedestal, but I just buy them. I give you guys the profit.
Look, however you get helmets, like I said, this is a Samoy Levart. I had nothing to do with the creative process of this, and it's one of my favorite helmets, and I didn't make it. Like I didn't put the time into it, but because it's so beautiful and he did such a great job, I love it. It doesn't make me any less of a fan for buying a helmet rather than making it. I always say, do whatever you can do, and do you like Star Wars? Cool. You're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like food. You don't like one thing of food. You like all types, wherever it comes from.
Right.
It's like food.
Yep.
So on the topic of helmets, you've discussed your absolute love, but if you what basically they're all derivative from a character. Cobb Vanth, Jesse, what is your top 3 helmets correlated with the clone? So basically top 3 clones.
Right.
I'm gonna assume the first one's gonna be Rex because that's kind of like your whole.
Well, let's
platform.
just say it's Rex.
Yeah, let's just say number 1.
Let's just say it's Rex. That's annoying though because Rex is such a cop-out answer.
No, it's not. He's great. Did nobody watch the show?
Everybody loves Rex. So
yeah.
I think that's kind of the thing is it's like saying your favorite superhero is Batman or Superman. Like of course it is. But. And that's for DC people. I think Marvel's. Sure. I didn't say Marvel because Marvel's a lot more evolved, and I think that there's Anyways,
that's a lot of people to argue with if you said the wrong answer.
Yeah, I know. My tech helmet. I love tech.
There you go.
Got a huge obsession with him. Love that helmet. That was done by Galactic Armory. Those files.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see, and then third favorite's probably Vaughn,
really?
Captain Vaughn. That design is so cool. I actually currently there's an artist named San Diego Collector on Instagram, and he repaints Hot Toys. I sent him my Commander Cody Hot Toys to get it repainted to be Captain Vaughn. I love that armor design, that helmet design with the visor that's a maroon, and then you've got that stripe here, and then the stripes under the eyes. It's so cool, and that character was very short-lived, but there's something about that helmet where I just sit and stare at it. Like when I'm watching movies, I find myself staring at it all the time. And I think it's just because it's so aesthetic.
It's very cool, but I'm a little hurt that Fives wasn't on that top 3.
That's what okay. We'll talk about Fives right now. Everybody bullies me for not giving Fives enough love because I'm such a big 501st fan. So why would I not love Fives? And I think I get it. I think that Fives was always like the older brother. He was very serious. He was very
protective,
militant.
Yeah.
Very protective. And that there's nothing about that I love as somebody who loves chaos and craziness and like wild characters. I like Tech because his suit is so extra. Like he's the most extra clone with his gadgets and his goggles and his visor, and all of that is really cool. And Vaughn is the same way. It's like he walked into the accessories section of the armory and said, "I'll take one of everything," and I like that. And so Jesse always felt very Fives always felt very gung ho and just like a really good soldier.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, why I didn't connect with him. But I love him.
Yeah.
And I love Kix, and I love Jesse, and I love Echo. Like, I love them all.
Yeah.
But I tend to like the wild clones.
Yeah, no, I get that. I don't know why. There's just something about Fives though that I think was just underappreciated. You know, he was severely underrated as a clone.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you're just a rule follower, and then now he's like one of the best ARC troopers to ever live, and sadly have the world's saddest ending ever.
I know.
It was heartbreaking.
I think that's honestly, man, I don't do well with like sad stuff, and I think that's been a part of it. Is I don't like sad things, and that's a sad storyline. So I tend to just avoid it. Well, I mean, your favorite character is a character who has the most depressing story arc of any character. So like, I don't want.
I'd say Rex was pretty depressing.
Get me away from that.
I would say Rex. He's outlived every member he's been friends with. Cody, Jesse.
Yeah, no, sure, and I agree, but we haven't realized that hasn't been realized on screen yet. I mean, there was some sadness. He had some flashbacks in Rebels. You could tell there was PTSD there.
Oh yeah.
But for the most part, Rex is like along for the ride, and he has to deal with Anakin, and he becomes like the very rogue, and like Rex is a mirror of Anakin, and I love that, and I love that in a clone of like, oh, you have a clone that's broken, and because he's broken, he's better, and that's, I think, what attaches me to the Bad Batch as well, is like I like broken clones, because the idea, their entire essence is only to serve, to be mindless and serve. And so any clones who go against that, which, Fives obviously does as well, but I like the ones that show that they're not that way.
Yeah, no, that's why I think the Bad Batch was such a hit, because they were outcasted for just being defective. But then, I mean, also what a great name, just commemorating one of the better soldiers ever. And then there's this hit with them. The minute they're on screen, they're the coolest thing you've ever seen. From Crosshair to Wrecker and Hunter, and now even Tech. Can't let him go. And including the new addition Echo, who we got to see a little bit, and I can't wait to see more of. So I can see why the broken people, I don't like saying broken people, the unique versions of the same person can be more appreciated when they're out of a different picture.
Right.
Yeah, it's a really great. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. So I may be changing my favorite clone to Rex now. For that argument.
I mean, look, Fives is a great favorite clone. I wish they would do more Fives merch. I would buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get the tattoo.
No hate.
Like the peel off one right there. Actually, I put that on my gown when I graduated high school. Cool. I drew that, and they literally took the cap. I had to get a new one. Yeah, they say you.
What? But could you decorate the top of it?
I couldn't do that. I posted on my Instagram saying, "Hey, ready for graduation with the cap there," and they said, I think they commented, or someone else commented, you can't wear that. And I was like, really? So I had to go get a new hat before I left.
That's terrible, man.
It was so cool, but I also didn't know that I wrote on the wrong side, so it'd be facing the back of my head instead of the front of my head. It was pointless anyway, so I drew it on the top. So
your arc was exactly like Five's arc, where you tried to go against the status quo, and they took it away from you.
It was so fast. Great talk, by the way. You've been an amazing guest, but I got to leave you with one last question. I've been getting some hard hitters out there. What movie, either it's the animated, or I'm going to include the show. If you want to add specific season, that's your pick. Okay. But what show or movie just makes Star Wars? That's like, if you were to watch that movie, like if you want a definition,
like, what's my Star Wars?
Like, what is yours? If you were to say that's my version, like that makes it.
I love that question, man. And I think I ask that when I meet a fellow Star Wars fan. I go, what's your Star Wars? And I think sometimes they're confused by that, but we all have one Star Wars that is ours, and I think for me, it was originally Episode 3. The first Star Wars I ever watched was Return of the Jedi, but the first Star Wars I ever watched that I became obsessive about was probably Episode 3. It kind of redefined my whole personality. So I would say that's definitely a big one. And then obviously that final arc of season 7 was those same exact feelings, which is funny because it's Order 66 all over again, which is what Episode 3 is about. So kind of in perfect parallel.
Spoiler alert, by the way, for those who are not watching that show just yet.
Are we still? Oh, wow.
There are people, I know people who have not watched the show and they want to, so that's out there.
Right. Well, then without spoiling anything. It takes
Just go ahead.
place
We already
during
gave the
same
warning.
time.
Give it all you got. Give every detail.
I like no, I won't, but I like that it kind of carries that same sort of feeling of weight, that Star Wars that's like heavy on storytelling, heavy on emotion, with a lot of flair. I think both have quite a bit of flair in that final lightsaber battle and that final, battle. And so those are kind of the two that I think are mine.
That's a great answer.
Have you shared yours?
With people.
Before?
No, I've been recording so much because I've had no time to post and edit. So I've been recording like 8. Yeah. And I'm working on that now.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Congrats. That's what college life is like. Thank you. I'd say growing up, I was a big Star Wars fan. I grew up with Star Wars with my dad and a lot of my friends. We grew up with the beginning Clone Wars era and all those amazing things that I sadly gave away because I felt like I had to grow up and get out of it. Like I get in the 4th grade.
Me too.
Because I was like, I'm 8 years old. I got to grow up. I'm an adult. I got to start paying taxes.
8 years old.
I was like, nobody likes this. I got to get with them. So that was like that for years. I was like, this is so stupid, but I kind of like shoved it down. I get my own personal excitement alone about these things, but it wasn't until I saw Rogue One that just was like, I forgot how cool this was. And then I,
it kind of re-sparked that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of funny how that movie's all about a spark of hope. And then I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. That's fun.
I'll tell you, I agree. I mean, all through high school, I did the same thing where I was like, okay, I got to be an athlete. I need to impress girls. I need to make friends. And so I kind of pushed that down. And, anytime something Star Wars would come up, everybody would kind of hound me about it. But it was very much not a big part of my personality. And then after I got out of high school, it just came back. It just like roared back like
in a wave,
like never before. And now I'm here,
And it's your whole platform. And by the way, when you were describing that, I wasn't laughing at you. I was saying, as you were saying, I'm an athlete, I got this, and you're like, oh, I get that. And the minute you said, I got to get the girls, shut down. I'm like, I just wanted somebody else to talk with. Like, you got me all the way through. Man. No, it's okay. I'm sorry.
I mean, but I mean, that's the case for so many Star Wars fans. I mean, it attracts the disenfranchised. It attracts those who aren't so socially connected. And that was kind of my case too, where I was like, I need to evolve my personality to fit in, and I think I wish I would have known. I mean, I'm talking with this kid over here. I've got this helmet right here. The kid who made this helmet modeled it, printed it, finished it, 17 years old. Wow. And I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous that I wasn't diving into this stuff at that age, because he's going to soar far beyond me. And that's what's so cool, is because of that experience he's gathering now, he's going to shoot past where I'm at and have such a more fulfilling early 20s, because he's embracing what he loves.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting to that now by hurting my bank account with my own version of these things. So, when I was at Galaxy's Edge,
I get it.
The first time, I spent almost all my money on kyber crystals, and I couldn't book the appointment for the lightsaber thing. But when I built my own, it was amazing. I actually almost cried. It's such a touching thing that when you do it, it's so cool.
That's rad.
And then I bought like a bunch of the cases, and my girlfriend kind of gets why I get it when I have it over. Like when I bring it, she kind of like, oh, this is fun, but I'm never going to spend that much money. She's in for the fun little pins. But I kind of get that. Thank you for opening up. That's really cool of you. But yeah, like Rogue One was kind of like that weird reset button for me, because I was like, oh, okay, like maybe I shouldn't care. Maybe I should just start doing this. But I kind of just did it. I couldn't make helmets. I was always doing everything else I had to actually make money. Like, I had a handyman service for a long time because I was good at repairing things. But that kid who did the helmet is going to go a lot further with his own passion.
I know. It's so cool. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous of him.
Well, what's good about it, it's not like a bad jealousy. It's not like you want to go out and just, take the kid's money. You're good. You want him on your team. You want him at Super 73. You want him making helmets for you guys. Make a Boba helmet.
I'm just jealous. I wasn't as brave as he was at 17 to just commit to it and do it. So cool.
Totally get that. And have you guys thought about making Star Wars themed helmets for your Super 73, like a Boba Fett colored helmet?
I've gotten plenty of cease and desists from the past. I mean, I a pretty big part of our company history is we turned 2 of our bikes into speeder bikes.
I saw that. It was the best thing I've ever seen.
Thank you. And that was kind of our big step into that world. Now, unfortunately, we're so big, we have to have proper licenses and partnerships to do those sorts of things. So I'm working on some stuff with Super 73 and those properties that hopefully will be realized in the next 2 years, because that's how slow things move. But yeah, soon there will be, if all goes well, some cool synergy between the two.
That'd be cool, because like your truck, which by the way has the coolest wrap of Poe's X-Wing, which is, it's the coolest thing ever. Are you gonna maybe do wraps of the bikes?
I'm actually working off the record, off the Super 73 record. Personally, I'm working on doing kind of like a skin for a Super 73 that makes it feel like it came out of the Star Wars world.
Nice.
So yeah, same sort of thing, but just without crossing any legal boundaries.
You know what you should do? Just invert the colors of whatever the thing is. If it's like a blue and white X-Wing, it's a white and blue.
White and blue.
Yeah. You can't copy that's not there. You can't copy backwards. You cannot copy backwards.
Right.
So
I'll tell you, that truck gets me quite a lot of recognition, and if you're thinking about wrapping your car, just know that you won't be able to go anywhere without people taking photos of it, which is super cool. But it is weird when I'm in there and people don't realize I'm in there, and they walk up and they're like, taking photos on their phones. So that is something I didn't expect would happen.
I'm surprised that you didn't expect that. I would have definitely wasted every amount of storage I had just getting every inch.
It's a cool car. I like it a lot.
So and thank you for this amazing opportunity. You have been an incredible
wow,
to talk with. No, come on.
Thank you.
Come on. And
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for putting this together. Your questions were awesome. It was super cool to be included. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, I try hitting the hard ones. So when you're there, you like, dang, I was not ready. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were new and fresh and exciting.
If you have to plug anything, your channel, we've been talking a lot about your social media platforms. So if you want to include that, really, sure. I'm going to include it in the descriptions on the platforms as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm everywhere at Rexon_around. So whatever platform you're on, I'll be there. So just Rexon_around.
Can you give us a little hint or something about what the next video is going to be? Because I also know you do a lot of unboxing stuff too. You're just growing anything you can. Like, we're going to do it.
Dude, my channel has always just been like what I want.
Absolutely.
And I think it frustrates people because they're like, dude, upload more regularly or turn this into a series. And to me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do what I want to do with my channel. And I think that's why, Kyber Sister's been on there for a couple weeks now. And Greg and I are going to be coming back though.
Yes.
We haven't good to hear. We haven't shared that. Greg and I are coming back. We're going to come back for the Bad Batch.
Sweet.
But
okay.
We're gonna come back how we want to come back, which we need to kind of talk about that. The podcast is very stressful. There's a lot of editing that goes into it, and there's a lot of time that goes. I mean, that now too. So we're gonna come back for Bad Batch, but it may be in a slightly different way. But yeah, we'll be making more content.
You do you. What you're doing now is already great. So stick with it and let those other people comment what they say.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Take care. Thank you for doing this, man. I cannot thank you enough.
Happy to.
All right. Take care.